everybody. Welcome back to the show. You know we are big fans of reality television here on Urban Rush.
Yeah, absolutely. And our next guest, well, she has worked within the reality realm somewhat, and she's also a registered psychologist. So we thought we'd bring her in once again. You've been her on the show before, Dr. Joti Samra, to talk about all kinds of things. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Good. Great. Now, we can't talk about it a lot, but you're involved in a new show with Force 4 Productions for OWN, the Oprah Winfrey Network Canada, called $1 Million Neighbourhood. So congratulations. I won't ask you any questions.
Thank you.
But are you having fun doing it?
I'm having a ton of fun, and I'll let you know when I can talk about it.
So wait a second. You're practicing as a psychologist. You're doing this show, and of course you have speaking engagements all over the time. How much you sleeping?
Not much. Not enough. That's why I'm losing my voice.
Yeah.
I know. I don't have a very psychologically healthy workplace. Myself. I say my boss is kind of a you-know-what.
Yeah. Mike and I,
your boss, just looking right there.
Mike and I are huge fans of reality television.
Yeah.
And of course, there's the whole gamut of reality TV, from shows like Survivor, which is one animal, all the way to The Real Housewives. What's your opinion on reality television these days?
Well, I mean, it's interesting because we've seen this phenomenon really grow, especially over the last decade, right? And I think actually Survivor probably was the first reality show that we all
where you really
remember.
saw a psychological angle to it in people's interaction and, you know, the way they sort of did everything almost.
Yeah, and they've really taken off. Like, we're just interested in watching real life people. And I think, I mean, I find humans absolutely fascinating. Right?
And practice, yeah.
Well, and some of the stuff that really happens and that people do, you can't script it, right? Like, real life is actually far more entertaining and engaging, I think, than anything we can even dream of.
Is it cathartic for people to watch people that they can either understand or people they can't understand? Is there a really healthy aspect to you as a viewer watching someone else's experience?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a number of things about the reality shows that I think have been fabulous. Like, one is we're really putting some issues, like important issues, on the table that people can watch. And I think the average person is much more likely to relate to an average person that's on TV, right? Rather than
and then we've got the non-average people, which I think people are fascinated by, like The Real Housewives, because not a lot of people live lives like that. So watching them really is entertainment, because it is like fiction to normal people. Absolutely,
and we kind of live vicariously, right? So you watch these kind of over-the-top lifestyles that some of these people live, and it's fascinating to think, this is the day-to-day life of someone, and to get this window into kind of the inside perspective that we wouldn't see in any other kind of way. I think people find fascinating.
What do you think the psychology is of somebody who does go, because you know, Survivor is one kind of show. I mean, it's a competition show. You are put under a microscope, but it's more of a controlled situation than some of the scripted reality shows where we see people fighting all the time.
The Housewives,
what do you think the psychology is of people who do go on those programs where there's fighting and they do put themselves under that kind of microscope?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a great question, because we often watch these shows, right, and think, well, who would go on and air their dirty laundry in this kind of very public way? And I think, as you said before, there's a range of shows and there's a range of personalities that get attracted to these shows.
Because we have Extreme Home Makeover, which is a reality show, but it's actually helping people.
Absolutely, and I think we got to remember that there's always going to be certain members of our population, right, that are on the extreme end, and people have all kinds of different motivations.
Some people like drama.
People like drama. I mean, there's people that really genuinely want to help people. There's people that want to share their stories. There's people who, you know, feel fortunate or somehow resilient in getting through life circumstances that they say, I really want to kind of impart this to the average person. There are, for sure, like you said, the ones that like the drama, and they're getting their 15 minutes or, you know, times 10 episodes or whatever it is.
Their story arc.
Yeah, and there's people, I mean, people are motivated by all different kinds of things. It's often not money. I mean, that's what I think people watch this and
assume that that's always the common denominator.
That's not actually, but it's that fame. Like, we all want to feel important. We want to feel like we matter, that there's something about our story.
Does fame have a psychological effect? I mean, that idea and that feeling, that sensation that comes with being notorious in one way or another, is that an actual psychological phenomenon? I mean, is that something that you would define?
Well, I think it absolutely can affect our psychology, and we see this even among, I mean, just kind of actors, right? Like big celebrities that we know. There's ones that remain very humble, very grounded,
and
very
some people
fortunate.
go crazy.
Yeah, well, I can't say that word.
Right, sorry. But some people,
no, I'm just
Well,
joking.
some people
But they
have a public persona. Some people are actors and they keep it that way.
Well, and I think what happens is when you mix that up, right? When the lines become blurry between who you really are and what you value and what's important to you, the things that ground all of us, right?
Yeah.
You know, our family, our friends, our interests, our values, and then you get this persona that is interesting, it's entertaining, people love to watch it, and then people kind of get confused, so you get this kind of self-identity confusion of who am I?
Do you think it desensitizes people? I mean, when we watch reality shows, they're like the new soap opera. Sometimes people forget that they actually are real people going through these problems. Do you think it has a trickle down of desensitizing how people feel about certain situations?
I think there can actually be something positive about that, and I think absolutely the more we see and hear of certain stories, we do get, you know, desensitized or we normalize it.
Right.
And I think when we see, especially the ones that are touching more difficult
Like
topics,
having 900 children is normal.
yeah. Well, you see
your
the more
toddler
difficult
up.
challenges and think, you know, people can say, okay, people can talk about this. It's okay. I'm not an outlier in dealing with these kinds of issues. And we also have to remember we've got the kind of reality shows now that are out, but we've always had some kind of venue for this. Just think of the talk shows that have existed for years and years.
Jerry
Donahue. I
Springer.
remember Donahue when I was a kid, right? And they
Yeah.
would tackle some really interesting issues as you go.
And it's people sharing their stories and interesting stories and ones that make you open your eyes and think, oh my God, like really?
And
What's
sometimes it's a
happening?
train wreck and you can't stop
And you
watching.
can't stop looking. And some of the
Yeah.
shows that you've consulted with in you know, either, you know, people in your practice, but within the reality realm, I mean, sometimes this is the first chance that people have had to recognize and try to rectify and understand an issue that they're having in their life.
Yeah.
And it happens on TV, but it still happens. And
It
that's
happens, and I firmly believe that all of us want to tell our story and have our story heard. And this becomes another vehicle for a lot of individuals to be able to tell that story. And there's a very therapeutic component that comes along with that.
You mean within their friends and their family and stuff as well, right?
Yeah,
If they see something
absolutely.
and they can say, hey, you know, I understand.
I like the shows where you can win $500,000 at the end. That's the one I
By manipulating people. It's my
Thank
favorite.
you, Dr. Joti. So
Joti,
nice
thank
to
you.
see you.
Thank you.
So Force 4 Productions, Own Canada, $1 Million Neighborhood.
Watch
Any
for it.
idea
Yeah, early
soon?
2012.
Early 2012.
Thank you.
Thank
Yes,
you. We're
thank
looking forward
you.
to it.
We're going to take a quick break.